Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. How's it going, guys? First things first, I've got no idea. I'm lost. I'm absolutely lost. I've been on the notepad. I've been doing all my potential trades. I've been looking at this option, that option. What affects my buy next week better? What affects my cash flow better? What affects my overall trade situation better? Mate, I am that lost. So if you want to see a real confused SuperCoach over the next 15 minutes, try and work it out. Feel free to hang around. I'll talk about all this. Sicily, of course, Himmelberg, Taron Thomas versus Nat Fyfe, Malikan. We'll look at the teams in a second. But, yeah, I'd love to know how many you're anticipating you'll have on the field next week. Because, fuck, it's looking grim. It's looking real grim. So I don't know whether I'm, panicking too much because I might have, 14. Or if that's, par. So I don't really know. But anyways, what else are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah, thanks everyone who jumped on the live. Another great session. I know Caitlin wants to call the people who jump on the live the shortlets. I want to call them the Shorty pack. So if you got a thought on that, please cast your vote. But I do love it. It's great fun. Regular names. It's always a good bit of banter. And I know I don't always get to my YouTube comment section. So if you do have a comment or a question for me, Wednesday nights are always your surefire thing to have that one answered. But let's start with the story, shall we? Then let the confusion begin. And I did tell this one on my live session because I was had a whopping Band-Aid on me side of my hand here, and one of the blokes was like, "What's with the Band-Aid, Shorty? What have you done to yourself?" Just a real weird-ass situation, and let Shorty know if he needs to go to the doctors or not. But I'm walking around the river the other day, right? Might get some antivirus wear one day. But so I'm walking around the river over the weekend. Me and Jonah got brekkie, thought we'd roll around the river for a bit of a walk. Halfway around, I need to take a piss. There's some public toilets. Cool, no worries. So go in there, do my thing, come back out, and I'm just washing my hands on public toilet sink, and they're one of those ones where you hit the tap, you tap it, goes on for about 6 to 8 seconds, you know what I mean? But it's one of the ones that you got to hit, you got to push down. It's not a sensor operation. So I press it, and obviously it's a bit wet, or my hand's wet. I don't even know what's going on here. And my hand slips straight off into one of those, metal fake mirror things. I don't even know. I didn't think much of it. Didn't hurt that much. I was like, oh, that's weird. I'm walking 100, 200 meters, and I look at my hand, and pouring blood. I'm bleeding all over the shop here. Do you ever get that where you're, got no real pain, and then you look at your leg or your finger or something, you're like, oh, shit, what happened there? Maybe that's just what happens when you get older. Maybe Shorty's not in the prime of his youth anymore, but I'll tell you what, I was bleeding like crazy. So, yeah, and then literally last night, I had to Band-Aid it up again just after cutting the veggies. I didn't even cut myself, just the pressure of me cutting some veggies, cutting the carrot up, mate. Sent it over to bleeding point again. What's going on here? So does Shorty need a tetanus shot? Because I've had a relatively cut deep at a public, or what did I just say? Cut deep. Deep cut at a public toilet. I'm telling you guys, I'm rattled, mate. I'm absolutely rattled. But anyway, just a little side note there before we get into the real carnage. If ever I needed a good teams, it is now. Because I'm confused as it is, and I haven't even seen the teams. So this could really, I could get a rookie or two that's going to really help me, or I could get some unexpected carnage that'll just flatten me. I'm not ready for it. I can't handle unexpected carnage. O'Sheen Mullen, I did mention a couple of weeks ago, very unlikely to be in the team. I know it says injured, but very doubtful with the Cats ins back that he'll be back. So anyway, what have we got? Wasn't that crazy with Daniel Rich and Gunston? That was just nuts. Jack Buller, obviously 102k4. Jasper Fletcher in there, so that's handy. I think he's about 160 or something like that. Giants, and so Angwin might hurt a few. Faye might. That's unexpected. He was in my calculations. Langers won't be happy. Sturt omitted. So there will be a few, because those are the sort of rookies that there'll be a few just hoping they could contribute 50 points in these tough bye weeks. So that hurts. So far, so good. No carnage for Shorty. Just be good to me. Be good to me. Relatively optimistic. Me hoping every week that Charlie Constable will find his way into the side. But Jackson Binns. Don't know much about him. Might have a look at him in a second. even Arthur Jones, O'Donnell. There'll be a few people out there who do have those guys, so that's tough. Jackson Binns, what's this guy all about? So let me just talk you through. Actually, I'll talk through your questions first that we talked about on the live sesh. But what's this bloke all about? He's 18, 183, pretty light fella. He must be like a wingman or a medium defender. Does that correlate to him in SuperCoach? Where you at? Probably a little mid defender option. Oh, he's a mid forward option. 117. Fletcher. 157. It's food for thought. Anyway, let's take a look. So Sicily, what are we doing? I'm holding him now. This is all relative to your setup and how many trades you've got left. So I'm getting the notepad out. I'm going through my next X amount of trades, and I'm finding it hard enough to discover a sixth best defender, let alone a fifth. And if I trade out Sicily, he ain't coming back. And I feel like there's a clear top five. Maybe you can add Caleb Daniel to that as a sixth, but I'm looking at it, and if I traded Sicily out now, it would basically mean I'd have a complete team with one trade left by about round 16 or 17, which concerns me a bit. I know it's only one trade, so I'll still have two, but they can be important. Plus the fact that I'd have one trade and a cough that I can't get rid of, and I wouldn't get Sicily back at all. So on top of that is I think you just have to hold him just for this week, just to see what happens on Monday when they appeal it, because we'd feel like an absolute dill if you trade him now and then he actually gets off. And I know it seems unlikely, but we've seen some unlikely outcomes at the tribunal and appeals board over the journey. So he's every chance. I don't think it'll get off, but I just want to see. And then from there, I just think I'm going to have to hold him because I have traded pretty hard. I'm just probably going to have to accept that at some stage I've got to be patient. I just think I will definitely need 2, maybe 3 trades by the end of the year for those emergencies. And just with Sicily's scoring power and the fact that I know he's coming back, it's not like an injury where it could be 2 that turns into 4. Like I know he'll be back, so it's bankable. It'll be some short-term pain. Do not get me wrong, but I think you have to hold him this week just to see what happens at the appeal, and then it's up to you. My marker was if you've got 8 trades and above and have about 3 upgrades to do, then you could trade him. You could probably use a trade. But if you've got about 7 or less, you might need even 8, depending how many upgrades you got to do. You might have to just hold. At some stage, like the good old days, mate, sometimes you had to hold it. This was back in the day when we'd had 24 trades. Holding wasn't a disaster. Where nowadays we're like, oh, fuck, you got to trade him because you got 36 trades, mate. Sometimes you got to be patient. So that's what I'm planning on doing. A lot of people ask me, how many trades should I have left? I'm like, bro, I've got no idea. How many upgrades do you need to do? That's the real question. You should want to complete your team with 2, 3, or even 4 trades left if you've managed really well. So what does that mean? Generally, an upgrade equals 2 trades, roughly speaking, depending how many good cash cows you have. So if you've got 10 trades left and you've got 3 upgrades, you're doing pretty well. You should finish that side with 3 or 4 trades left. If you've got 8 trades and you say to me, oh, Shorty, I've got to do 4 more upgrades, I'm thinking you're in a little bit of strife. You'll probably complete that team with 1, potentially no trades left. So that's how I would work it out and how I would think about it. But let's dive into some of these other conversation pieces. And look, I'm no expert. Trade Sicily if you think you can manage it, but that's just how I've assessed my team. And man, I've thought long and hard about it. That's just the way I've landed. But let's take a look at some of these other things. Himmelberg's a bit of an interesting one. And look, he's a nice price. The facts are pretty straightforward. Like, if you have confidence in the position that he'll play defence for the rest of the year, he's probably going to average your mid-90s, which is pretty solid. And at 374, that could be your Sicily trade. And you might say to me, Shorty, look, I'm happy with Himmelberg at D6. It's fine. He could prove me wrong, but I'm just a little nervous that he could change positions at some stage throughout the year or even within game. Just makes me a little nervous. I just don't want to bank on it. But he, at his best, he's a fantastic rebound defender, good user, good interceptor. So he could be a fantastic selection. I just try to pick players that I can trust, and I hate having the potential of a positional change in the air. I just hate that. So he may well play defence for the rest of the year. I don't know why he's gone to defence now. So there's no rhyme or reason to say he could move again. But that's just my thoughts. In that position, he's a great option. Thomas versus Fyfe. First things first, Thomas, not the greatest human of all time. Let me just put that out there. But the numbers do check out as he's a pretty good SuperCoach option. And Fyfe is an interesting one. A few of you guys would have, thrown your faith behind him. Like I said last week, I wasn't interested last week. I wanted to see it, and we saw it. So I've got no issues with you trading Fyfe in this week. Like I said, I'm happy to pay $30,000 like we did to see a good score. Because up until then, he hadn't really shown it. So he did it. Good job, Nat. That's what we like to see. Thomas, slightly more expensive. 2 solid scores. It's a real flip of the coin for mine. I probably lean towards Fyfe, but I've been back and forth. On the live session, I was talking about Thomas probably a bit more optimistically. I just don't know. Thomas has a lot of... It's just hard to know what he's going to be like because he's got a lot going on in his life. He's historically been unreliable, whether that be injury or random outside of football issues that affect him on the field, where Fyfe has his own concerns, and some of that is even being used in the position that we want him to. He was great in the second half last week, but again, it was probably only a great half of footy. I'm happy to play around him. I'm happy to skip on both, because when we get to this stage of the season, these guys that might be in our teams for 3 or 4 weeks, is it worth it when you've got 8 trades? I want to maybe pick guys that I'm keeping for the rest of the year as a rookie or as a keeper. So I don't know if they fit the bill. They're not keepers and they might not make you enough money. So I get it. We've got next to no rookies. I understand that. So if that's the case, if you don't like any of the rookies, which I don't, then I get it. But I don't have amazing trust in either of them. And in terms of Malikan, there is minimal options. There is minimal options, and he's a solid one, but he's far from a good option. It is tough. There is minimal good rookies, and that's why a Keys or a Yo or a Fyfe or a Thomas, it's why they're actually solid options, because below 200k, we've got next to nothing, which makes it very, very difficult. So I should have 18 playing this week. I'm thinking I'll just trade Mitchell and Weddle. But here's my thing, right? So 7 trades left. I want to use 5 to complete my team. How does that look? Upgrades will be to Oliver, Butters, and some form of defender. Potentially Dan Houston, because he'll drop a bit. Again, I'm finding it tough to see that 6th defender that I'll probably need to get around 500k or less. Who goes for that? Briggs, Humphrey, and Van Rooyen. And in amongst that, I'll need another downgrade, which will probably look like it might need to be Ford. Oh no, it could be. So the 5 guys to go: Weddle, Mitchell, Humphrey, Briggs, and Van Rooyen. So they're 5 rookies to go. 2 will be downgrades. 3 will be upgrades. It's just all in the timing. So have a look at this, right? Let's say, in theory, I went old mate down to, let's say, just one random dude at 123, right? Oh, 633, 300. Wow, that's interesting. Let's just say, in theory, I did a bit of substitution work, threw Constable there, then we went and got a little mid. Jeez, I hope this works out all right. Look at this. Zach Butters, what's his price? 633,300. That may well be a sign. It really comes down to these rookies, so I can do that. I can do that. But then next week could be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster anyway, but adding Butters to the mix will really make it catastrophic. My other option would be to go 2 downgrades this week. Weddle and Mitchell both down. And then get Butters after his bye, Oliver next week for Briggs. So Briggs would go from a guy that I was thinking I would keep to trade him out before his bye, cash in Oliver, beef up that next bye week, which is going to be really difficult. And then potentially you could upgrade to Houston and Butters after they have their bye or something like that. Honestly, I've got no idea. I've got no idea still. I'm going to finish up this video and have a more of a think about it. It's hard to sort of map it out when I'm trying to produce a video as well, because I really got to just zone in there. But at this point in time, I'm still confused. I know I should probably just take Butters when it's presented to me, but I'm really worried about next week's bye. So I'm going to just have to assess the rookies we actually have on offer. Maybe do a bit of research because I don't know much about the Bins and the Bullers of the world. But yeah, going to wrap it up there because we're a little tight for time. Shorty's going to get over to the folks' place to watch the game tonight. So hope the cats get up. I'm going to just start editing this one up now. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. And all the best for what is proving to be a tricky fortnight in Supercoach land. Cheers, guys.